it could be you too.
But let's begin with Evelyn Holmes to the northwest along the Des Plaines River. Evelyn.
Well, Karen, I am here in Des Plaines on Des Plaines River Road, just north of Toohey, and where I am standing, it is dry. There is no flood water here, but if you look a little further down the road here, plenty of flooded streets. We have a damaged fence there that you can see from the flooded water. If you look a little further down, you see work crews. They've been here the majority of the day. They have been pumping water out since Thursday, all in an effort to take back what the river once claimed.
Welcome to the LWOO show, you all. Oh my goodness, thank you so much for tuning in today. We have a treat for you. We have Evelyn Holmes from ABC 7 News. She is my Auntie Evelyn.
Is that a treat or a threat? That's what I want to know. Anyway, sorry. You were introduced. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. You know, I call her Auntie Evelyn because I actually interned with Auntie Evelyn back in 2011 when I was interning at ABC. I know.
Oh my God.
Hasn't time flied?
Yeah, wow. And I keep getting younger and you keep getting better looking. What's that about?
And she took me under her wing, you all, and I've just been forever grateful. She is an extremely beautiful woman, so touching and loving and supportive, and I'm
okay, I'm going to give you $50. You can stop. You keep, you know.
And she's funny.
And the more you do it, the more money, it's more money.
Yes.
So, you know. But we were tough on you.
Yeah, no. I didn't get it easy, you all.
No, but
I worked.
Yeah, and you were a good worker. That's the thing.
You.
You knew your game, and that was what I wanted. I didn't want you going out into the world under some sort of misconception or ill-prepared.
Exactly.
And then have your heart broken because you were ill-prepared.
Right.
And you would have been saying, well, why didn't Evelyn teach me right? Or teach me something. Because sometimes, right is subjective. But,
Exactly.
Anyway.
And that actually leads me to our first question,
Yes.
Auntie Evelyn. I'm really, really wanting to know, did you want to become a journalist? And was that your dream?
Initially, this is how it went. I went from President of the United States to Chief to the Supreme Court, Chief Justice of the Supreme Court of the United States, to just being a justice on the Supreme Court of the United States, to being a lawyer, to being kind of falling into this journalism thing. So that, my background is like in law. I've always loved that. And the way I got into it, because that's what you really asked, the way I got into it is I was working for an attorney who happened to be a media agent. I went there and I was clerking for him. So I was going and doing the trial calls, and I was doing the legal research, light legal research, nothing heavy, and doing all those kind of things, and make sure forms are filled out right, that kind of thing. And then that's kind of when I got bitten by the journalism bug, and then started doing internships and kept getting jobs.
Wow.
So then that's how I ended up, I fell down the rabbit hole, so to speak.
Exactly.
So that's how we ended up here.
Wow.
I've been very fortunate.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, how were you able to achieve a successful career in television, being that it is a competitive field, and has that changed today?
What part changed? Is it successful? That's subjective. I believe in that. If it's a lot of luck, but luck is preparation. Okay, you got to be prepared for that opportunity. And when those two come together, that's when things work. The business, people forget, the journalism is, I always say, I'm a journalist who's in the TV business. Because the bottom line is TV is a business, it's a money-making enterprise. And whereas back in the day, when, whether it be newspapers or radio or television, most of the people that you were answering to, meaning your bosses, they had all come up the way you came up. So meaning, the guy who was the editor-in-chief of the Chicago Tribune, or the woman who was the editor-in-chief of the Chicago Tribune, actually worked in a newspaper. She was actually an intern. She actually was, wrote a column. She actually covered stories. So when her philosophy of how the newspaper, what it ought to cover and how it ought to cover it, she had, she'd grown up like that. It used to be that your general manager or your news director had been a reporter, or they'd been a photographer, or they'd been a writer or a producer. So when they said, hey, Lauren, we need you to go out, we need you to do a 4, a 5, and a 6, and we need you to do X, whatever, they knew what they were asking you to do. Now, what's happened, I think, is with the business is that it is a business. So you have general managers who had been sales managers. You have bosses who have CPAs and MBAs and JDs, and there's nothing wrong with that. But what I'm saying is they come at the business from a different perspective. It's a money-making venture. And so whereas most people get into the business because of a love of their craft, they have a love of it, it's down in here, they love it. The money-making aspect of it is what's driving it a lot. So those conflict, and you're always kind of balancing that. I understand that, you know, I've got to do so many live shots a day, but I understand that that's about making money.
Right.
See, whereas I'm trying to tell a great story and have great pictures with this great story, it needs to be on at a certain time so we can make money. Because there are advertisers to answer to. There's time to be sold. And it has to be on social media. And you've got to drive those likes into viewers. It's gotten a lot more complicated, so it's harder.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what I was about to ask. Is it more competitive now than
Well, it's always been competitive, and like I say, when I was teaching classes and tell people, I said first day I'd ask people, who wants to be a star, and whoever raised their hand, I'm like, get out, because that's not what it's about.
Right.
You know, it's about being dedicated. But the truth of the matter is that as we move forward, it sometimes feels like it's less about the work and more about the generation of income.
Right.
And it's a more superficial thing. But guess what? We're on television. It's a visual medium, and people are looking at you. So guess what? If they don't like what they see, they can't hear what you say. I mean, think about it. If and no disrespect, but if you ever run into someone who is has some appearance issues, let's just put it that way. Okay. And they're talking, they may be the most intelligent, or here's an even better way to put it. You're talking to someone and they got some spinach in their teeth, right?
Oh.
They don't know it, but you do.
Oh.
Okay, right? Now they're talking and they're telling you something very important, and they're very informed and they're very educated and they know what they're talking about. They got the spinach in their, how can you concentrate and take what they say seriously when they got spinach in their teeth? It's the same kind of thing. So this has to be right. So when this is right, people can hear what's been coming out of here. So this has to be right.
Right.
Now, of course, in newsrooms, you still deal with the issues of colorism, sexism. Those are the kinds of things that go on. So, you know, there has a tendency to be a certain type of anchor look, a certain type, you know, and the one thing about Channel 7 that's always been positive about Channel 7 is Channel 7 has always been the station where diversity and uniqueness, if that's such a word, uniqueness was celebrated.
Yes.
And that's, I think, how I landed there, because I am not and have never been like anybody else.
Right.
And so whereas a news director or someone's trying to hire me as a reporter may say, well, I like her work. She's on it. I like her work. Maybe they couldn't get with my look because I didn't fit into a particular category. But see, as we've talked about before, I'm not trying to.
Come on.
I don't want to. I don't want to.
Right.
And I think, and actually, in terms of competitiveness, that's what keeps me competitive, and that's what keeps me on the cutting edge. It's not just the work I do, but the fact that I'm not trying to be like everybody else.
Right.
And you have to step out there. You're not trying to be like everybody else.
Right. Wow. That was amazing.
Ah,
that was amazing.
That was fun. Now let's get some lunch. That's what she's thinking. No.
I could go for
I was going to say.
Yeah, you know.
I do. I do know.
Portillo's.
Oh, see, I can't do that anymore. Blow up. Can't do it anymore.
And you know, Auntie Evelyn, you did mention that colorism is still heavy in the workplace. Sure. So knowing that millions of little brown boys and girls watch you every day on television, what would you say to them about following their dreams?
Well, I think you have to live your truth. And unfortunately, many people that look like us don't have the support of people that look like us. Fortunately, there are people that hopefully in the community that will support you. But let's be real, there are people growing up or now grown up, they're screwed up adults. They grew up as children in households where they weren't very supportive.
Right.
And that's unfortunate. I think the goal is to make sure that we maintain a level of diversity no matter what. I want people that look like me, kids that look like me or look like my daughters, or, you know, brown children, black children, whoever. I want them to understand that you don't necessarily have to be a reporter. The real power in a newsroom is not standing in front of a camera. The real power in the newsroom is determining what stories are done, who does them, how they're done, when they're done, who hires, who gets fired. That's power. And so what I'm saying is it's great to have a plethora of individuals on the air that represent our different communities. But what's also important is that we have people who are in accounting and watch the money. The people that are in promotions who can promote the station. The people who are in positions of management who are deciding in morning meetings, as the ones we used to go to, what stories we're covering and why they should be important. And even if they are about a specific community or neighborhood, why people out, let's say if it's at 63rd and Halstead, why people up in Winnetka need to care about it. See, that's an awareness that we need to maintain, and oftentimes the only way you get that is through diversity. I also want kids to know that maybe your forte isn't standing in front of somebody and talking. That's why I'm honestly so much into my ice hockey, because it's a community, and I applaud like the Blackhawks, Chicago Blackhawks. They have programs where they're outreach. I think that a lot of other professions are doing that as well, helping kids that look like us know that you can find success a lot of different places. You can be a whiz with numbers, and you can work at a TV station. You can be wonderfully putting things together, taking them apart. You can be an engineer at a TV station. There are multi-million-dollar budgets. I mean, understand, ABC is owned by Disney. Disney is a multi-billion-dollar corporate, multinational corporation that practices, and we get into all this, but I'm not going to bore you with it, but that practices, and listen, look it up. There's horizontal economic integration and there's vertical economic integration. What vertical economic integration, if I remember correctly from my economics teacher, what that really means is that you control every aspect of the production of whatever it is you're doing. Chicago Tribune at one point was into vertical economic integration, meaning they own forest, they own paper factories, they own trucking companies. So basically, they could produce that paper from the minute it came out of the ground to the minute it hit the stoop where you live. That's real power. And so I think we have to educate ourselves about real power. We also have to understand, as people of color, our real power. And we can't just give it away. And we can't let other folks take it for granted. We have to make people be aware of our agenda, whether they agree with it or not, and make those people who are committed to our agendas do what they're supposed to do. So in all of that, you know, to bring it back around, in all of that, you can do whatever it is you set your mind to do, but understand that where you put your attention is where you put your intention. Where you put your intention is where everyone's going to see is your attention. So be very careful about who you're around, what you're doing, how you're spending your time, because you're telling the world what you're truly about.
And I was just about to say that. I was just about to say, how do we go about educating ourselves and just really understanding who we are as a people and understanding our power? And I was about to ask, is it about who you surround yourself with?
Sometimes, but you know, I'm kind of old school, and I'm a big proponent. I'm a Christian. I believe in God, and I believe when you take God out of a lot of things, things get messed up. I believe that. So I think there has to be a firm foundation. You know, my children are educated in that way. I try to immerse them in those kind of environments. And it's not to say that every Christian is perfect or that every Christian environment is perfect. It's saying that we need to make sure that we have a solid ethical and moral foundation for our children, knowing what is right and what is wrong. And those things are very difficult at times, because how do you tell somebody who is hungry, or how do you tell somebody whose mom is on crack and their daddy's in jail and they're living with their grandmother and she's struggling to pay the mortgage, and old boy on the corner says, look, if you just take this package from over there to over there, I'll give you a couple $100 a week. And so he's helping grandma pay the rent or pay the mortgage. You see, whereas morally that's incorrect.
Right.
It's wrong. But at the same time, how do you tell him? Because he's trying to help his grandmother.
Exactly.
And what else choice does he feel like he has?
Right.
So see, I understand that it's not as easy as people make out, but I do believe that we have to address it. And sometimes you just got to make those hard choices. Sometimes, you got to say, that's where your faith pops in. Right. That's when you say, you know what? I don't think that's right. And it may be easy. There are no shortcuts.
Come on.
So I have to say no to that.
Right.
And deal with the consequences of it and know that by faith, I'm going to get carried through. And it's easier said than done. But I'm telling you, I live it every day. So I know it works.
Yes.
But see, how do you tell somebody that when, it's tough?
Exactly.
It's tough. So like I say, I respect the position. I think a lot of times that's why we younger people we don't reach them, because they feel like you're talking at me, you're not talking to me, because you're not even acknowledging what I deal with. That I got to walk 6 blocks and I got to deal with Rollo and his boys every day.
Right.
And I'm trying to navigate that. So if I got to do a little something over here to get my butt kicked every day, then I'm going to do that. I get it. I get it. It's hard. It's hard. It's equally as hard in these newsrooms. You got people at the, Cheryl Burton, Leah Hope, Jose Sanders, Will Jones. Who'd I miss? Who else I miss? Karen Jordan. We've got photographers there. Derek Robinson and Rodney Carell and Dwight Payne. We got all these photographers there. These are all people of color. Arlene Irves, who's one of the producers, Tony Shute, who's the EP, one of the executive producers of the station. These are people who are trying to hold the line, so to speak. These are people that are trying to make sure that diversity is accepted, that it's acknowledged, and that it's brought into the mix. Right. And see, the thing is, too, what people don't understand is just because you're black doesn't necessarily mean you have, all this knowledge. I mean, it doesn't mean that you all about black, fight the man, all it ain't like that all the time, because right is right, because you're working off a different grid. What I'm saying is that diversity in those newsroom meetings, is you've been to them,
yes,
makes a huge difference when you have all these different people from different places and different voices chiming in, and you learn a lot in those morning meetings.
Yes,
don't you?
I learned
don't
a lot.
Don't you? Yeah.
I mean, it was very, very impactful going to those, and then it made me have moments where I wanted to think about, okay, I see how important it is to be in front of the camera, but I'm really seeing the value of being behind the scenes and being the decision maker too. Right. So
and when you're sitting in those morning meetings and those we're deciding what stories we're going to cover for the day. Right. And you're like, wow, because I remember you said to me one day, you said, so let me get this right. So they've decided what stories we're going to cover today and how we're going to cover it. I'm like, and you're like, at 9 o'clock in the morning, I'm like, right. And then you were like, but what if something else happens? I'm like, well, that's what I'm trying to tell you. Yeah. What if something else happens? Well, you make your adjustments. I'm not saying, but I'm saying that's power.
Right.
To decide what information, that's power. That's why there was such an argument about net neutrality and these 2 tiers of internet availability. That's why people, it's because the true power, I mean, beyond the money being liquid, but the true power is information and who has it, how they deliver it, what they tell you. Think about it. If I tell you, listen, your car's out there and it's on fire, you run out the door.
Right.
But see, if you have information, like for instance, you got a security camera that says your car is not on fire, you'd be like, okay. But see, the difference, that's probably a bad example, but the difference is that you have the ability to make a decision based on being informed. And when you're misinformed or you're ill-informed, you can make real huge mistakes that are harder to recover from.
Yes.
That's why it's important to be informed and to be educated.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow. That's amazing. Well, this brings me to my next question. As women, I know we deal with many different obstacles, and especially in the media industry. Yeah. How important is it to have self-love?
Oh, it's extremely important. And like I said, you got to live your truth. But you also have to understand that not every chick's going to dig you. And for whatever reason, women, I think as cohesive as we have become, we still love to hate on one another for whatever that reason is. It's the one thing I really admire about men. Men can have, at least, back in the day, men can have a serious disagreement. I mean, I work with men all the time who really don't like one another, but is there a common goal that they're going to meet? they're all over that goal.
Right.
And whatever their differences are can be put to the side. Women I think, need to work on that. I think we're doing better about it, but we still need to work on that.
Right.
You know, I think that you could kind of see that with some of this Me Too movement, and you seeing women and young ladies kind of coming cohesively. But I guess my question would be, and it's something maybe it's worth doing a story on, but my question would be, is the Me Too movement different for women of color? Because of what you know, because of the way things work, a lot of times that margin of error is different. So, you know, by the time the general population starts to feel the brunt of whatever the issue is, people that look like you and me have been dealing with it for years. You know, I remember back in the 70s, y'all may, well, not really remember, but, you know, reading, when women were entering the workplace, it was a big deal for white women to go and work in the workplace. But I kind of smiled at it. And my mother, I remember having a conversation with my mother. And this is why it's important to have conversations and talk.
Right.
But she was saying, you know, black women have been in the workplace for years. You know, when Dr. Martin Luther King was down in Memphis and working with the sanitation workers and with the strike, and when people were walking around trying to say, you know, when Rosa Parks was on the bus, and there were black women on that bus going to work. So what I'm saying is that I think that there is a cohesiveness, and that's great, but I also think that we have to make sure that we acknowledge that experience may be different for me as a woman of color.
Right.
Than somebody who is not. And that's not meant to be divisive. It's just meant to be inclusive, if that makes sense.
Perfect sense.
Okay.
And that's absolutely true. You know, it's important for us as women to, like you said, to be cohesive amongst one another, but we also have to acknowledge the fact that if we don't stick together, we're only hurting ourselves.
Right.
And for women of color, it is important for us to take that extra step, because in the past, even during slavery,
Sure.
they always tried to put women against one another, especially black women. And they tried to put us against one another by talking about the color of our skin.
Right, there's all that stuff exists, all that. And the truth is that, you know, you've heard the saying, absolute power corrupts absolutely. Well, think about it. If someone's in power and they can run things and they have things the way they wish them to be, what's their incentive to change that? If I have all the money, all the power, and I can do this and have somebody, I can have her do this, I can have him do this, I can have you do that. Where is my incentive to share that? If I believe that I'm so entitled that that's the way that ought to be.
Right.
So, you know, like I say, I think that we as women and we as women of color have to think about the process differently. And it's okay to acknowledge that the process exists, but we don't have to continue to complain about it, so to speak. We need to acknowledge it and then move on it.
Yes.
And that's what I tell my girls. My daughter, my 12-year-old will tell you ad nauseum that she's so tired of me saying, you know, I don't want to hear about what you try, I just need you to do it.
Right.
I don't want to hear about what you think, I need to know what you know. Get it going.
Get it
She
going.
gets tired of that.
Right.
But you know, that's my job, to annoy her.
Exactly. Well, have you ever had to overcome conflict that could have led to ruining personal relationships or business relationships that you formed, and how were you able to do that?
Well, I think, you know, anytime that you are philosophically at odds with the people that you either come in contact with or you work for, then that's something that you have to be able to try to navigate. And you have to understand that there are going to be times when the people that you are aligned with or grouped with will have a different agenda than your own. So, for instance, if we're talking about being in a newsroom, this is the way I look at it. There are usually like 3 stories. There's a story they want, there's a story that happened, and this story is going to be told. So I think the way you get around that, because I think it's important to be open. I really work hard at being open and seeing it from another person's perspective, even if initially I think that's the craziest thing I've ever heard of. But I try to, you know, because the whole point is not to be judgmental. If you can be open and get out of your own way, I think you can learn a lot, hear a lot, and see a lot more than you would if you weren't. So I try to understand that we all are nowadays expected to do a whole lot with much, much less.
Right.
along with the fact that, you know, there's a level of gratitude you have to have. We are so fortunate. I mean, we're sitting here today talking about, waxing on nostalgically about some of the issues that plague us. But you know what? We'll get in our cars, we'll drive to our homes, we'll get something to eat, maybe we'll stop by Starbucks, you know, and the biggest complaint of the day is, oh, I'm tired. Why am I tired? Oh, I played ice hockey this morning. Really? You know, so it has to be put in perspective. I think that there's always, at least I hope there's always some common ground. And I think if you can remember, at least I try to remember, that what abilities I have and how they're used, those talents don't belong to me. They are a gift.
Yes.
By which I have been given to do God's bidding. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not on some pilgrimage. I'm not saving conjoined twins. I don't have a cure for cancer. But I do believe that when I am encountering people, sometimes at the worst time of their life, somebody's dead, some violence happened, whatever, you know, I can be that avenue for them to tell their story. And maybe that story will help somebody else. If they don't feel like that's what they want to do, I completely respect that. Because, see, that's their new normal, and they got to work with that. See, I go home at the end of the day. My life is intact. I go home a little richer than when I left, you know? But, so it's that level of respect and understanding that any gift that's given has to be used properly or will be taken away.
Yes.
So I like to think that the people I encounter, that there's always an exchange, and I want it to be positive. So even if in this instance, maybe that wasn't the best circumstance, but people will say, well, you know what, I met Evelyn, you know, something happened to my mother, something happened to my sister, something happened. It wasn't great, but you know what, she was respectful and she was kind. And so the next time I see him, and you were out with us when it happened.
Right.
Where we will go somewhere, try to talk to somebody, and they're like, oh, you know, I can't talk. I'm just, you know, I'm too upset, whatever. No problem. Well, you know, here's my card, whatever. And then later on down the road, hey, you remember me? You know, no, because I don't. If I don't drop pebbles, I can't get home. You know, it's like that. And, oh, well, you know, that was so and my cousin, whatever. You were really nice. And, you know, what are you doing? Oh, we're doing this story about this. Oh, hey, I know that person. I can get you to that person. It's karma. I believe it's karma, and it's God working the way He works through people.
Exactly.
But you got to be right by people in order for that to work.
That is so true.
So I believe that, you know, and I try to work like that all the time.
All the time.
You know.
And that's what I love about journalism, the fact that you get to tell a story.
Yeah.
And I just always remember that people don't always remember what you say, and they don't always remember what you do.
I know where you're
but
going.
they always remember how you make them feel.
Absolutely. That never goes, and I tell my girls that same thing. You never forget how you have been treated. And even if someone treats you poorly, and they come back and say, you know what, I was a jerk, I never should have treated you that way, and you move on, you forgive, not necessarily for them, but for yourself as well, okay? But you still are like, when you see them, you're like, I know where you can go.
Yes.
I know how you can be.
Yes.
So I'm forgiving. We done with that. That's past tense.
Right.
But I know you can go there. So now I'm careful.
Right.
See, in those first impressions, that is very lasting. And people, I don't think, realize that. And some of it, I blame social media for that in some sense. Because you know what, you drop a tweet or you drop a whatever, and then you don't like it, so you're a racist. So as far as you're concerned, all caps, you screaming at somebody and all this kind of stuff like that. And you know, and so for them, it's over. They dropped it, they're done. You know, because people are really great at talking. They want to talk about your actions.
Right.
Okay? But they want to talk about their intent.
Oh, drop the mic.
You're funny.
Oh, I love you. You are good. Well, in honor of Women's History Month, what's a piece of advice you would give to the next woman coming behind you?
I would say be true to yourself. Love yourself as God loves you. Make sure you always put God first.
Yes.
Be someone who is giving. Okay? Don't be afraid to put yourself out there. Don't be afraid to fail. You know, and when I play hockey in the rink there's a sign that says, and I'm paraphrasing it because I look at it every time because I am horrible, by the way, playing hockey. I'm horrible. It's not even fun. My daughter laughs at me. I'm horrible. And she would be right to laugh. It's very funny. But it talks about, you know, the danger is not in failing. The danger is not in trying. So get out, put yourself out there. no one knows your destiny but God. No one can decide that but God. And just because someone doesn't see it in you doesn't mean it isn't there.
Come on.
You know, so you go on out there, and I guarantee you, because I had people tell me I would never make it in this business, I would never work, I would never get a job. I had that happen. Actually, an anchor that used to work in this town, she does not work in this town anymore, and she doesn't even remember it.
Wow.
She doesn't remember telling me that, but I do. I do. And every time I see her around, you know, oh, hey, you know, I'm like, oh, hey, girlfriend, it's okay, because that was the space she was in. With that, I would also say, remember, and you know this because you're a journalist, you get this. People don't understand words have power. And you have to be very careful about how you use words.
Yes.
And you have to be very careful about how you use words with people.
Yes.
Because you can either build them up or you can break them down.
Yes.
And I would rather be a builder.
Come on, come on. Drop the
We should have like 50 mics here. There's just mics everywhere now.
We just need to put some mics up here and just so I can
It's like clink, 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 clink.
Very good. And you might have already said it, but my last question for you, Auntie Evelyn, last but not least, one saying that you live by.
Live your truth.
Yes.
I live my truth.
Live your truth. And I just love that when you were even saying in your last statement about the woman who said that you would never work in this business, you know, she didn't know that was your destiny. And I also know that sometimes people will project their fears onto you.
Absolutely.
And they'll try to put their limitations on you. And so the fact that you're standing here today on the top news station, on the top channel in the city, at a news station, that is so powerful. I'm fighting back tears.
I've been there 15 years.
Wow, 15 years.
And it wasn't always easy.
Right.
It wasn't always, but you know, and I see her, and it's interesting because she has no clue about that. But see, but at the flip side of that, there were people who did see something.
Yes.
And said, I may not know exactly what it is. Maybe she needs a little work here, she a little rough there, what have you. But they believed, and more importantly, I was like, I'm going to step out there and do this. You know, that's part of the issue. We always, you know, there has to be action. What does it say in the book? Faith without works is dead. Right?
Faith without works is
so
dead.
my thing is that you want to get out there, put yourself out there.
Yes.
You know,
Absolutely.
Prince Charming, your wonderful husband didn't come knocking on your door, did he?
No, no.
I didn't meet mine doing that either.
Right.
Inside, locked up in my house. What I'm saying is you have to put yourself out there. You have to go out there. I'm not talking about dating. That's a whole other conversation. But I'm saying you got to go out there. You got to lay the groundwork. And if you don't know how to do it, find somebody who does. There are people who are willing to help you, to share. I was talking to Sylvia Duncan the other day. She's a life coach and was having one of her conferences. And she was saying that, you know, the one thing about her, one thing people like her, you always notice, they get information. The first thing they do with it, they share it. They don't hoard it. They want to let everybody know. They want to, you know, ran into my good friend Monique Carradine. Hadn't seen her for years. Used to mow in the middle. Used to be over BON.
Yes.
And, you know, same thing. Get the information, pop it out. Because trying to empower and to, you know, it says a lot about a person who would teach you how to do something as opposed to do it for you. Because, see, there's power in knowledge. And once you have that knowledge, no one can take that from you.
Yes.
And see, that empowers you. Now you can go. And that's why I know I keep talking about hockey, but that's why I'm so excited about hockey, because I'm like, once you learn, it's a community. Once you learn certain things, certain kinds of discipline, certain kinds of just anything. Once you learn anything, how to read, how to wire a radio, how to do whatever, how to code.
Yes.
Once you learn how to code, no one can take that from you. And it's a skill that you can incorporate into something else.
Yes.
So, see, we've got to get on that page where we're not afraid to step out there. Falling is not, no, you ain't going to fall. You won't get caught. Someone can't, you won't, and guess what? Okay, let's say you do stumble and you fall. Get up.
Right.
Because you aren't going to be the first one, and you certainly ain't going to be the last.
Yes.
So it's okay.
It's okay.
And I've fallen a lot. People don't know that. I've fallen a lot. I fall every day. I still get nervous. Lauren laughs at me because I get nervous. Every day I get nervous at a live shot coming. Oh, my God, oh, my God, oh, my God. But, you know, but I feel like it has to be right.
Right. Wow.
I feel like it has to be right.
Auntie Evelyn, I'm going to have you back on the show.
I've been feeling like I talk too much.
No,
like, shut up.
No, I have to have you back on the show because you are so influential. I mean, you just remind me of, like, you know, how back in the day, Rosa Parks, like that strong African-American woman that's just representing so much for every little girl and little boy who have a dream.
But she was, and carrying that on her show, as are you. You're here putting this show together, and you got the support. And you see, that's not a light endeavor. But you have people here who believe in you and believe in what you're trying to do, and they're a part of it. And that says not only a lot about you, but also a lot about the people who you've aligned yourself with and their commitment to doing what is right.
Yes.
Because see, when people see that, it's the action that tells people what you're about. All this, I tell people, I don't want to see this. I need to see this and some of this. None of that. Shut it down.
Shut it down.
Because it's just hot air.
Right.
That comes in the summertime. I don't need no hot air right now. I'm good.
Yes. Wow. You all, do you see why? Do you see why, Auntie Evelyn, thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Not a problem.
You are amazing.
Well, you call and I come. I've already told you this. You got me on the hook.
Oh, I love you so much. Oh, well, you guys, thank you. As you can see, I can talk to my auntie all day. She's absolutely amazing. Please make sure that you tune in to Channel 7. She's brilliant.
Wow.
Maybe you'll see her walking down the street. And
my new agent right here, my new agent. Firing the other guy. He's gone. He's out of here.
Well, you guys, thank you so much for tuning in today. No shout, no doubt, without question, I am LWOO, the powerhouse. Peace, guys. We're wrapping up Women's History Month, and oh my goodness, it is so hard to say goodbye to Women's History Month. I mean, I am just so honored to be a woman. And I just want to say to all the women out there, you are beautiful. You are so powerful, and you are extremely talented. I'm so proud of you, and I just want to say I love you, okay? I just want to say for being a woman, you're brilliant. For being a woman, you're amazing. For being a woman, you are the trendsetter, okay? First of all, we take care of everything in the house, okay? We make sure that our husbands and our children and our families, that everybody sticks together. We take care of fixing lunch. We take care of praying for our husband. We take care of praying for our families. We handle it at work too. Let me not forget that, okay? We walk up in there like we own it every single morning, okay? Whether you work a 9 to 5 or you are an entrepreneur, you are killing it, girl. As a matter of fact, let me go ahead and bust something out for you. I'm every woman. It's all in me. Anything you want done, baby, I do it naturally. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Hey, whoa, whoa. Whoa, you know, I had to do that for you guys because that's how much I love you. Like, first of all, I just want you to know that when you wake up in the morning, if you don't feel that way, I want you to go back to sleep. And then I want you to wake up again until you feel that way every single day about being a woman. I want you to wake up smiling. You know what? As a matter of fact, I want you to treat it like a musical. When you walk outside, if you're down and out, I just want you to look up to the sky. I want you to look for a bird, look at a tree, look at a flower, and then I just want you to bust out, I'm every woman. And even if you wake up your neighbors, that's all right. Have some fun in your life. The point is, I just want you to know that you are the chosen one. You are the one that is a force to be reckoned with. The day that you stop underestimating yourself is the day that limitless opportunities will start flowing in your life. Thank you for everybody that said that you can't, because now you know that you can. Thank you for every single person that said that you won't, because now you know that you will. Thank you for every single person that said that you are not equipped, because you are overly qualified. You are the #1 masterpiece that God created. You are brilliant, you are talented, and don't let anybody tell you anything differently. I don't care if you're having a bad day, make your bad day your best day. Make sure that you make each and every day count, because you are a woman. You are a creator, and you are a trendsetter. And walk on this earth like you know your purpose. Walk on this earth with confidence. Wake up every single morning and tell yourself, I love you, and thank the Lord for waking you up, because you have another day to go after your dreams. You have another day to get it right, even if you feel like you've been getting it wrong. Don't beat yourself up. Give yourself some credit. Just for the simple fact that you birth children. Just for the simple fact that you get up each and every day and work hard for your family. Just for the simple fact that you love yourself and you love others. You are amazing. And I can't say that enough, you all. I could talk to you all day, as you can see, because I love you. I really do. But I just want to say it's Women's History Month. We're wrapping it up, and I just want you to leave Women's History Month with a bang. Go out with a bang and go into April saying, I claim it, I own it, and I walk through it, okay? I claim it, I own it, I walk through it, and I execute it, okay? Make sure that you take that spirit, that knowledge, that power in your heart into April and continue all year long. And one more thing, you all. This is 2018, so this is the year of new beginnings. I love you guys.
Hey girl, what's up? How you doing? Okay, wait, give me 1 second. I'll be right back. Yeah, okay.